Good everyone. I hope you guys have an amazing day. So today I'm going to talk about a contact center transformation aspect of the Service Cloud consultant certification. It's just another theory session. My apologies. It may get a bit boring. If you're a tech guy or tech person, then this kind of information can be boring. But stay with me and try to make it as exciting as I can, because this is an important topic, right? Because at the end of the day, right, when you're talking about the Service Cloud, right, it's all about customer experience, right? Otherwise, why would you suggest the Service Cloud to a client, right? You go for a Service Cloud to give the better customer experience. Now, because we live in 21st century, right? 2022 today, so February, where customers are demanding, right? They want to receive better customer service for the money they offer, right? I mean, they don't want to get stuck in like a Stone Age kind of dealing, right? Remember the back old good old days? You might have remember, right? You might have called, you have an issue with the phone, right? For instance, early or mid 2000, right? You call the call center, and they let you wait for like 45 minutes, and then they repeat the question, hey, may I have your name, first name, last name, blah blah blah. Okay, and then explain to you, hey, what's your problem? Oh, this is a problem. Oh, sorry, you're in the wrong department, let me transfer you, right? So they transfer you to another center, another place, and another guy picks up, and by the time you finish the call, it's like 4 hours, and you're like, what the heck, right? This is like a pathetic service. Okay. Unfortunately, we don't have to do such kind of things in today's time, right? The things can be answered very fast. For instance, you call a bank, for instance, in New Zealand, you can call ANZ, pretty much same in Australia. So you have an option for, do you want to talk to an agent, or you can go through an automatic, machine-based system where it's, are you calling for your check account, or are you calling for your credit card? If check account, enter your blah 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 and do this, and can tell us in your own words what you're calling. So it's like things have got better. So and customer expect to at times not to talk to an agent. They can figure out themselves. All they want is the right guidance, right? They don't want to waste 2 hours in a call. I mean, at times I get frustrated when I call, say for instance, I deal with ANZ, right? And at times I have to wait like an hour, and it just annoys me. I like, they could have done a better way to handle a few things, right? But unfortunately, you can't get away with it. But otherwise, I'm pretty happy with the ANZ service, right? So as a customer, this is just my feedback about them. But that being said, right, when you use the Service Cloud, right, Service Cloud can make a lot of things less complicated, with a great omni-channel experience. You can do pretty much everything in a single platform, right? Imagine, customers saying, hey, I wanted to deal with phone. I prefer SMS or text. I prefer email. I prefer regular chat, or I prefer WhatsApp, or prefer, social media or whatever, right? So different customers prefer to do different ways. Some customers say, "Hey, send me a documentation where I can figure out something." Right? I don't want it to talk to any humans. Right? Some people don't want it to deal with agents. Right? It's fair enough. Right? Different people have different preferences. Right? Now, imagine, right? You don't have any of these options, right? And you just wanted to say. Want to stick to an old way of answering phone, and you customer say for instance they bought a bottle of, say, a scotch, right? So you're a brewery, right? You manufacture, oh, sorry, not brewery, right? You're a whiskey manufacturer, right? I mean, I'm not into whiskey, so I'm just giving an example. All right, so you sell scotch, right? For instance, XYZ scotch, and a customer had a very bad experience drinking his scotch. They said the taste is not up to the standard, right? So they wanted to make a complaint, and they wanted to ask for a refund. Okay, so they try to call you using a phone, and you ask, hey, can you tell me your first name and last name? By mistake, the guy called the finance department, right? And the finance guy said, look, this is the wrong place. I'll transfer your call to another place. And by mistake, the finance guy transferred the call to an accounts team. The accounts team said, I don't think so. This is the right place. You have to contact XYZ department. You can see that, right? The level of frustration building up. and the next time the customer will say, I will never buy the stuff from the company, right? And that can do a lot of damage to a brand, right? So now, if you have a Service Cloud, you can make that experience pretty nice, seamlessly, right? So, for instance, a customer can call a call center and they can do an automatic, a recording of whatever they wanted to say, and the cases get created. So, for instance, you interface your, so let me draw this, okay? I'll shrink this guy here. So you have Salesforce here, right? And you wanted to have an online call center, right? Where customer calls for the problem and they do a voice. And if for some reason, if they can't reach an agent, you have an option to do an automatic, system, right? Where they can press one to do this, press two to do that, right? And at the end, what you want is the case get created automatically in the Salesforce. So what we're going to do, we're going to make use of AWS Amazon Connect. Just give me an example, right? So you can use whatever you want, but I'm just saying. So they're called, and it's like a call center, virtual call center. So the customer calls here, and I'm just going to make my sticky man. My apologies. So they called here, and the call got, and they follow the instruction: press one, press two. Finally, the logic and the flow in Amazon Connect decides that should create a case. So the case get automatically created, right? So now you can see that, right? The seamless experience they got, right? Instead of calling here and they have to wait, they again have to call to create a manual case. That would definitely frustrate the customer. So it's important, right? You have to have a right channel in place, right? Having a right channel in place is just not good enough, right? Uh, my apologies if you're hearing that, helicopter. Sometimes it happens. I can't help it, right? So, um, yeah, yeah, let it pass through. You might be hearing that sound, right? I don't know if you can, but yeah, it's just like a military aircraft. We got a military compound, in the city I live. So yeah. Anyways, never mind. Sorry, I digress. Okay, so now having these things in place is great, but now what happens if customer, manage to get hold of the agent, right? So that experience with the agent also makes a lot of difference. Okay. So for instance, say this is all great, but they managed to get hold of an agent here. Okay, I'll just draw here. Okay, now the customer, say for instance, for whatever reason, the customer has to wait for a long time, right? So the wait time was like 40 minutes, and this guy here, this this boy, he's pretty annoyed, right? And he's quite a busy guy, and he's extremely frustrated. So he started, taking his anger on this agent. Said, look, you guys need to improve your service. It sucks. I have to wait on the call for 40 minutes. This is in today's time. This is not what I call a customer service. I will call it as a bad service, right? So as an agent, right, agents have few responsibility. Agents should not respond back to the customer in a rude way. That's absolutely no. Agents should be empathetic, because they should have that emotional intelligence to understand, right? Obviously, if you have to think from a customer point of view, right? If you have to wait 40 minutes in a call, you obviously get frustrated, right? Maybe this guy had a bad day. You can never anticipate, right, what's going on in someone's life. So you have to have that, emotional intelligence in place. So that's where the hiring the right people comes into place. Okay, so it's very important, right? As a contact center, you have to hire the right people. Now, hiring the right people involves a lot of things, right? Now, it's not that simple as you think, right? You find someone else, and say, "Hey, come and work for me." That doesn't work that way, unfortunately, right? Because every profile has a different skill set, right? First of all, they should be technically skilled. If you're dealing with certain product, they should at least, for instance, if you're providing, I'm just making this up, okay? I mean, I'm not sure if there's one. If you are providing, say, technical support for SAP, right, you need to have some understanding of SAP, tech side of things, right? So like I said, I just made this up. I'm not sure if SAP has a tech support or not, but I've just made this up. Okay, then they should have ability to multitask. They should have a polite conversation uh, ability, and they should have emotional intelligence to understand other people' perception and frustration, and they should have a problem solving attitude, right? They should not say, "Hey, it looks too difficult. Let me transfer your call to somewhere else." That's not really great unless they can't solve it for whatever reason. Unless they've exhausted all the option, they shouldn't be straight away saying, "Hey, I think it's too complicated. Let me transfer this to my superior." That's not a good way, right? You should be a problem solver. You should at least give it a try, and and then you have, like I said, they should be have a attitude to focus, right? They should have a positive attitude, right? Things can get heated up because, like I said, customer might be extremely frustrated for whatever reason, right? So you have to understand that from a customer perspective. Okay, now that's great. Now you hired a team, okay? Now, uh, once you hired a team, right? Now, how do you make your team motivated, right? It's not good enough as a contact center to hire an agent, okay, and say, "Hey, figure it out by yourself. These are the skills that what we want, right? And we expect you to do this." That's fine. But as an employer, as a company, as a firm, you have certain responsibility towards your agent too, right? Otherwise, your star performer will leave. First of all, you have to motivate your agent, okay? So the motivation plays a very important role. So, like I said, the key points, like I'll write it down, right? Hiring right agent, right? Okay, now hiring the right agent. Let's talk about the qualities: positive attitude, right? Um, Ability to focus, right? And problem solver, yeah, emotional intelligence. Okay, I might have spelled it correctly. So my apologies if I'm not. Well, that's it for now. Okay, so these are the skills that what we need. Hiring this agent. Okay, so these are the things what we need, what they're looking for. Oh yeah, one more thing. The tech skill, right? Because obviously tech skill. I mean, let's like I gave an example, right? We're talking about SAP, for instance. So these are the things that's important. Okay, that's the hiring part, right? Because to keep this guy happy here, you need to have a right person sitting here. Okay, so for now, we're just not talking about anything to do with this, technology behind the scene. We're talking about human to human interaction. Okay, so to keep this guy happy, we need to have the right guy here. Okay, and to get the right guy, we need to go through this option. Okay, now that's great. Now how to keep this person motivated? Okay, now as a now motivation factor for agent. Okay, so the thing is that I tell you one thing. It's not only applicable to just a contact center. It's applicable to any profile, right? If you have a star performer, right, you got a bigger task in your hand. If you're a contact center or product lead or project manager, because the star performer, first of all, you don't have to guide that person. That person will know how to do the things in an efficient way, right, and with integrity. Now, that person will have one weakness, right? If that person sees that he or she is undervalued, that person will leave because that person is skilled, and in another company will hire them easily, right? So, losing a star performer, it's not a good thing for any company, right? Because most of the company thinks, oh, they are replaceable. They are replaceable, but then your client will think the same about you. You are replaceable as well, right? So it's like a, the things get echoed back, right? So okay, now the things that you need to motivate your agent. Okay, the first of all, career progression. I will talk about it in a second, right? Uh, if my spelling is bad, my apologies, right? I use Grammarly. I'm not good with any human language, right? I can speak four, five, roughly four and a half, right? 4 to 5 languages, right? English and other four international languages. But I'm not good with any of them, right? I mean, I can write, I can have a decent conversation, I can even write a business standard letters in the different languages, but my spelling sucks. So I use Grammarly, but in foreign language, I have to be very careful, right? But I'm good with computer languages, right? That's my forte, right? I can pick up any damn computer languages out there, right? And I find it extremely easy to deal with computers rather than dealing with humans. But because, human language has different aspects to it. I'm not a linguistic person, right? But I'm a programmer. So there's a difference to it. Okay, sorry I digress. My apologies. All right, career progression and, well, of course, the money, right? You won't work for peanut, given the fact that inflation is growing up, is going up most of the countries. And uh, positive environment to grow. I will expand on this a bit. Okay, let's talk about three things, right? Let me talk about the positive environment to grow first, right? I wanted to mark this as a first criteria because these two comes, later. I put the money at the last stage, right? Because it's a misconception that people leave a company for money. It's not always the case, right? The first thing, right? Everyone look for when they join a new company is the work culture, right? So is your boss supportive enough when you hit a snag, right? Or is your boss a micromanager kind of things, right? Who don't trust you, even if you take, say, 10 minutes toilet break, start knocking at the door. Hey, why are you taking more than 10 minutes? It does. I'll just give you a pathetic example, but it does happen in certain companies, right? So, and can you approach your boss, or do you have a environment where can you express your concern? Some companies just shut you down when you try to criticize their policies, right? So, that's why I would say that companies should create a positive environment for people to grow, right? And then comes to the second stage, right, which is more or less related, right, to the first point I made, career progression, right? If somebody, right, if your star performer sees there is no opportunity for growth, that person will leave. You cannot convince that person to stay back, right? At the end of the day, it's not his company, right? He has to, or it's his grandfather company who built it that, okay, I wanted to, or it's not that he's going to get the company share that, when a company makes $1 billion, he was making billion. It doesn't happen that way, right? He's just a worker there. So, and for a person, the first thing that comes to mind, okay, I'm going to give my best, but in return, what am I going to get? And will I'm going to get a better career progression, better opportunity to move to the next stage? If that person finds out there's no opportunity, that person will leave. It's that simple, right? And then comes the fact and money. If that person is underpaid, there is no way your star performer going to stay. Mark my words. It just happened in most of the companies. People assume that, okay, let's pay him the peanut and we extract everything out of it. Right. Right. That's exactly the mistake most of the people do. They say, okay, the person learned enough skill and they say, okay, I'm going to go elsewhere. So, and that really affects the customer service. If your star performer leaves, and the customer might ask, hey, what happened to the guy? Why did he leave? Right? Why didn't you try make him stay? Right? And if the word comes out right, oh, the company treated him very bad, your customer will have a very bad opinion about you. They will say, I'm not really sure if I wanted to extend my licensing with these people. These people don't even treat their own people right. So, it's like a, difficult scenario for a company. So, like I said, hiring a right person agent is important, but to keep that person motivated to do the right job, day after day, with 100% commitment, that needs a lot of work and skill from a leadership team, right? Because a person will be very, very motivated when they come in first time, second day, third day, month, probably a year, probably 2 year. But if the person sees no sign of career progression, the leadership started to do nitpick, the person will say, okay, you know what, you can figure out whatever you wanted to do. I'm going to leave. So, and the competition will be very happy to grab that guy. They say, oh, all right, the competition will say, hey, we can pay you double the money what they're paying. I'm just giving an example, right? I'm just making it up. So they say competition will say, okay, we're going to give you X, Y, Z. And the guy will leave. So now who wins here? The competition, because they grab your best guy, the best talent. And so when they grab your best talent, most likely your customer will leave you as well over the course of time, because now your competition has an better edge over you in terms of a resource talent, right? Now, this is the why I'm telling you all of this, because this is a part of your Service Cloud consultant certification, right? So you should know about it, okay? Now, and sorry if you hear the bike. I don't know what's happening today. Usually my city is very calm, um, and since our borders are close, right, we're not letting more people in. But still, for the past 1 year, I've seen a lot of people are moving to my city. Maybe prices in other cities are going up, but I don't know. I mean, just I don't want to say anything. Then I don't want to be part of a controversy. But just saying, right? It used to be much quieter, right? I don't like too much of noise, to be honest. That's why I moved to a small town, right? To experience that small town. I don't like to live in big city, but that's all. Sorry, I digress. Okay, now there are certain things which you need to understand when communicating with your customer. Okay, now communication in real time, right? Let me put it this way. Okay, now what are the things you need to consider? Uh, okay, when dealing with the customer. Okay, now you have to create a good first impression. Okay, now remember this guy, very frustrated, right? The moment he picked up the phone, he started yelling at you, say, hey, why have to wait for 40 minutes, blah, 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 blah. Now, if you start yelling back, it's not going to end, right? And the customer might hang up and say, bugger off, which is not really a great sign of customer, experience for a customer, right? And it's not a great sign of offering a customer service to the customer. So, you got to maintain a good impression. And another thing you have to do is that, talk less and listen more. Okay. So first of all, the first impression, right? I would put it as a first impression, and talk less and listen more. Why I'm saying to you this, sometimes I have seen agents, right? They don't listen. I have to tell once, hey, could you please freaking listen to me once, what I'm trying to say? Because that guy assumed this is my problem, this is what I wanted to do. I said, no, this is exactly not what I wanted to do. My problem is different, right? So if your agent is not paying attention to the customer, that's a big problem in my opinion, right? That's something which I would mark it as a red flag, because obviously you're wasting the customer time, or uh, the time of a customer is already frustrated before reaching to an agent, right? So you have to pay attention to that a lot, right? So that's why I'd say talk less and listen more, and based on that feedback, based on the information you gather from a customer, then reply back with solution, right? That's why you have to be a problem solver, not a call transfer kind of guy, right? If a customer say, "Hey, I have an issue," say for instance, I have an issue with this report in SAP or whatever, right? And I'm putting this filter, that filter, it's not working. So if you don't even understand what the guy is talking about, then you will say, "Can you show me this? Can you show me that?" By the time you finish the customer would have hung up with frustration, right? So also, like I said, customer might reach out to you in a social media, right? Maybe using Twitter. So they might say, "Hey, I have a problem, with say social media. Uh, or maybe a Facebook, right? You might have a Facebook page. They might come to the Facebook page and say, "Hey, I have issue with this thing." So you have to handle that, uh, you know, the things there properly, because in social media people can get casual. The tone of the language they use might differ, but so you have to have a policy in place or process in place where your agent should be using a professional language to deal with the customer. You should not be using casual language when you're dealing with a customer. Remember, customers are not your friend. You're doing a business deal with the customer, right? And your language, the conversation should be absolutely professional, right? And your tone, the way you express things should be professional, because you are representing your company. So the reputation of a company is at stake. It doesn't matter what platform you use, right? So you have to keep that into consideration. So, so yeah, this is pretty much I wanted to cover in today's episode. Unfortunately, this is a theory lecture, right? And you might be expected to see more hands-on. I'll try to do hands-on as we, move along with the remaining topics. But for now, this is what it is. So, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you guys have an amazing evening. Adios.